Hi, welcome to the flipped instructional session for Math 08A for Unit 103, Distributive Property and Like Terms. Our objectives today are to simplify an algebraic expression by using the distributive property or combining like terms, and to reflect on what you've learned and prepare for the next lesson or assessment. In math, it's always important to understand the vocabulary as you're working through each lesson. And so the vocabulary we're going to talk about today are algebraic expression, distributive property, and like terms. So an algebraic expression is a combination of variables, numbers, and operations. And a good way to remember algebraic expression is there's no equal sign, so it's everything but that equal sign. So some examples of algebraic expressions would be something like 3x plus 4, negative 2x squared plus 9x plus 27. So we can see there's a combination of variables. Doesn't always have to be x. We can have all kinds of variables in here. So a combination of variables, numbers, and operations. So I used all plus. I guess there's multiplication here, but 4x minus 7 divided by 8, that is an algebraic expression. So that's what we're talking about, an algebraic expression, numbers, variables, and operations. The distributive property we're going to look at a lot today, and it's a rule that says the product of a number and a sum or difference can be found by multiplying the number by each term in the sum or difference and then adding or subtracting those products. So as with any vocab, it's better to break it down. So the distributive property just is a way to rewrite 3 times the quantity x plus 9. So what that means is we take the 3 and we distribute it 3 times x and then 3 times 9. So 3x plus 3 times 9 is 27. So that's the distributive property. We can also use a negative. So we distribute, this means negative 4 times everything inside. So negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x, and negative 4 times 8 is negative 32. So make sure you're paying attention to the signs. And finally, like terms, they're terms that contain the same variable raised to the same power. So like terms would be something like 3x, negative 7x, 14x. They all have an x term. Something like 2y would not be a like term because it has a different variable. So these are the vocab words we're going to be using in our session today. So let's do a quick review of order of operations. We have 9 divided by 3 times 2 minus 5, the quantity 5 plus 4. What should be the first step in simplifying this expression? So you should remember PEMDAS. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So the first thing we need to do is anything inside parentheses. So we're going to add the 5 plus 4 because that's the first step. So let's go ahead and work the problem. So 9 divided by 3 times 2 minus 5 plus 4 is 9. There are no exponents. So multiplication and division is on the same line here because you actually do them left to right, depending on what comes first. So in this problem, the 9 divided by 3 comes first. So we do that first. 9 divided by 3 is 3 times 2 minus 9. Now we look at this and we see multiplication still here, so we do 3 times 2 is 6. So 6 minus 9. So our last step is 6 minus 9, which is negative 3. So let's take a look. We're going to start looking at the distributive property. This says 4 times the quantity 3x plus 2. So what number goes in this box? So remember, when there's nothing in front, or in between rather, the 4 in the parentheses, this means multiplication, and you need to distribute all the way through. So 4 times 3x is 12x. 4 times 2 is plus 8. So in our box, we need a 12. The problem shows the student's attempt to simplify an expression. However, the student made a mistake. What is the mistake? So see the minus out here? That is a common mistake. She didn't make it. But this does not mean minus 3. This is a negative 3 out front. So this is negative 3 times 2m, negative 3 times 4. So in her second line, she has negative 3 times 2m, which is correct, but she just wrote a positive 4. So she did not distribute the negative 3 to the 4. So the correct answer should be negative 6m minus 12. So she did not distribute the negative 3 to the 4. Let's switch to like terms. We need to match the like terms from this column to this column. So negative 5xy and 8xy go together because they both have an x and a y. So these are like terms, and we could combine these. What is negative 5xy and a positive 8xy? This would be 3xy. So you want to make sure you keep the variables in there. So 9x squared goes with x squared. So 9x squared, that's a positive x squared. 9x squared plus x squared. There's an understood 1 out here. We don't write that in math. We wouldn't write 1x squared. X squared means 1x squared. So this is 10x squared. And finally, 7x and negative 3x. So we would write 7x negative 3x. We can just write it just like this, and that would give us 4x. Now we're going to work on simplifying the expression. So what simplify means is we want to get this as reduced as possible with as little terms as possible. This is certainly not simplified. Anytime you see parentheses, it's not simplified. So we look and we would follow the order of operations if we could. So I would say do parentheses first, but we can see we cannot add 3d squared plus 4 because these are not alike. This is not 7d squared. You cannot combine anything that has a variable with anything that does not. So anytime we see a set of parentheses in the number out front, remember we need to distribute. So we're going to distribute here. So the 6 stays out here. We have positive 2 times 3d squared, which is plus 6d squared. Positive 2 times positive 4 is positive 8, and we still have a minus d squared. So now that the parentheses are removed, we can start combining like terms. So we see we have a 6 and an 8. So when there's nothing in front, that's assumed positive. So positive 6 and a positive 8 is 14. And then we have a 6d squared and a negative d squared. So you got to keep that minus with it. So 6d squared and a minus d squared is a positive 5d squared. And this is simplified because we cannot combine a 14 and a 5d squared because they are not like terms. So simplify means we're trying to take it as far down as possible. Generally, we need to get rid of the parentheses first by distributing, and then we can combine like terms. So your next steps, if you want more practice and to go through this live, you can come to the flipped follow-up session, which you'll find on your Class Connect schedule. If you can't come to a flipped follow-up, there's always a recording of that the day after, so you can watch that recording. You can also attend a help lab. A help lab is where you come and ask questions. So there's no lesson in the help lab, but you can come and ask any question you want about the course. And I hope to see you in one of these sessions. Thanks.